Hi everyone, this is U.S. immigration lawyer Michael Ashoori, and in today's video we're going to discuss the differences between the E2 visa and the EB-5 visa. So with that said, let's get started. So first and foremost, perhaps the biggest difference between these two visas is that the E2 visa is a non-immigrant visa, meaning that it's temporary and does not directly lead to a green card. However, the EB-5 visa is an immigrant visa, meaning that it leads to a green card and lawful permanent residence in the U.S. This is perhaps the biggest difference between these two visas. The next major difference between these two visas has to do with the nationality requirement. And what I mean by that is that the E2 visa is based on a treaty and is only available to nationals of certain countries that have an E2 treaty with the United States. This means that not all countries qualify for an E2 visa. In order for you to qualify for an E2 visa, you must come from a country that has an E2 treaty with the United States. However, the EB-5 visa has no such requirement. The EB-5 visa is not based on a treaty. And so citizens of all countries may be eligible to apply. Again, assuming there aren't any issues with travel bans and stuff like that, but there's no need for a treaty to be in place in order to apply for an EB-5 visa. It's more inclusive of many different countries. So next difference that I want to highlight is the minimum investment amount. And what I mean by this is that for an E2 visa, there is no minimum investment amount specified by the regulations. The regulations do specify that there must be a substantial investment made in a U.S. business, but there's no minimum dollar amount specified by the regulations. We typically recommend that our clients invest at least $100,000, but that's not it's not required that you invest at least $100,000. So to make this short, the E2 visa does not have a minimum investment amount requirement. The investment just must be substantial, whereas the EB-5 visa has set minimum investment amount requirement. It used to be $500,000 and now it's up to $900,000. So to qualify for an EB-5 visa, you must at least invest $900,000. So that's another major difference between these two visas. Now, the next difference that I want to highlight is with respect to job creation. The E2 visa does not require you to create jobs for U.S. workers. However, the EB-5 visa does. The EB-5 visa requires you to create 10 full-time jobs for U.S. workers within 2 years of getting your conditional permanent resident status. So E2 does not have a requirement to hire U.S. workers, whereas EB-5 does. The next major difference that I want to highlight is with respect to source of funds. Now, actually, this isn't such a major difference. It's more so a difference in its style, and I'll explain that in more detail. So both the E2 visa and the EB-5 visa require that your funds must come from a lawful source. Both the E2 visa and the EB-5 visa have a lawful source of funds requirement, meaning that the source of your investment funds must be lawful. However, while both visas have this requirement, the EB-5 visa has this requirement in a more strict fashion. The way that this requirement is viewed is more strict for EB-5. Now, another difference that I want to highlight is with respect to the timeline. So E2 is a much quicker process than EB-5. With an E2 visa, the process can take as little as 3 months or even less in many cases, especially if you're doing a change of status, as it's eligible for premium processing. So whereas the E2 visa can be done in a matter of months, the EB-5 process is much longer. To get your conditional permanent resident status through EB-5 takes at least 2 years. Just the underlying immigrant petition, which is the form I-526, takes about 1.5 years to process. And then you have to proceed with the adjustment of status or the visa processing. So to get your conditional green card through EB-5 takes about 2 years, which is much longer than than the E2 process. So that's another major difference. Now, another difference that I want to highlight is with respect to your work authorization. Now, with an E2 visa, you're only allowed to work for your E2 company. Specifically, you're allowed to direct and develop your E2 company, but you're not allowed to work for other companies. Your work authorization and your ability to direct and develop your business is limited to your E2 company under the E2 visa. However, with an EB-5 visa, you become a lawful permanent resident. You get your green card. And as a green card holder, you're eligible to work in the United States in any lawful capacity. You could work for any number of employers. Your employment is not limited to one company under EB-5. So that's another big difference. Now, another difference that I want to highlight is with respect to the management of the business. To qualify for an E2 visa, you must direct and develop your E2 business. This means that you must be actively involved in the management, the direction, and the development of the E2 business. It's actually a requirement of an E2 visa. So that's the E2 visa. With the EB-5 visa, it is required that you engage in the management of the business. So this is a little bit of a lesser standard for EB-5 in terms of how involved you have to be in the business, whereas with E2, the standard is higher. For EB-5, your involvement in the management of the business can be less. So those are the 8 differences between the E2 visa and the EB-5 visa. Now I want to just speak very briefly on converting an E2 visa to an EB-5 visa. This is something that I've seen quite a number of people that have interest in, and the reason is that there's many benefits to converting your E2 visa to an EB-5 visa. One such advantage is that if you choose to make your EB-5 investment, the new commercial enterprise for your EB-5 investment, to be your E2 investment, the company that you've invested in for your E2 visa, then you can count the funds, well, I should say you may be able to count the funds that you've already invested into for your E2 visa as part of your EB-5 visa. So let's say for your E2 visa, you've invested $200,000 and you want to apply for an EB-5 visa. And the minimum investment amount for EB-5 is $900,000. You may be able to count that $200,000 that you've already invested for your E2 visa towards your EB-5 investment amount, so that you'd only be required to invest an additional $700,000 as opposed to investing $900,000 brand new. So that's one advantage, being able to count the funds that you've already invested towards your E2 business. Another advantage is that you may be able to count the jobs that you've created within your E2 company towards the EB-5 job creation requirement. As we mentioned earlier, under EB-5, you're required to create 10 full-time jobs for U.S. workers. So let's say you made your investment in your E2 company, and over the years, you've hired 3 full-time workers. And now you want to go to an EB-5 visa. You may be able to count those 3 workers those 3 jobs that you've already created, so that now you only have to create an additional 7 jobs. So that's another advantage of going from E2 to EB-5. Now, there's a lot of different details to this that I'd be happy to answer directly or part of another video if you guys are interested. So in conclusion, we went over the 8 different differences between the E2 visa and the EB-5 visa. I hope you guys found this video very helpful. If you did, please go ahead and like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel for immigration videos similar to this that we will be posting. And if you have any questions, I know we went over a lot of stuff. I've put a lot of my different contact information in the description below. So you can go ahead and check out the description below for a lot of different contact information to reach me directly. As well, I've also posted a link where you can schedule a consultation for free with my office. So go ahead and check that out, and thank you so much for tuning in.